Today we're going to be talking about the fundraising process. I'm going to take you through my 3 stages and 6 steps to effective face-to-face fundraising. Hey, what's up guys? Jules here, and thanks for joining me. In this video, we're going to be looking at fundraising as a process. Now, why I think this is a particularly helpful conversation is because fundraising, as you probably are well aware, is not a simple process. There are a number of different steps that you go through, a number of different actions and behaviors, and it can be really helpful taking the whole process and breaking it down into some chunks, some steps, so that we can focus our attention or our efforts and our work on developing in each of these different steps, and then holistically will become more effective fundraisers. Some of these steps are maybe more important than others, or at least there's a dependency, right? They all sort of follow on from one another. So if we can understand these different steps in the process, we can then work to master, to develop our skills for each of them. Now, this is not to say that the process of fundraising looks the same or feels the same for everyone. This is not the only way or the perfect way. This is just the way that I describe the process. Each one of these steps will be lived out, will be actioned differently depending on who you are. You know, great fundraisers are not all the same. It is really about being the most authentic, truest version of yourself. Ultimately, we are not just salespeople. We are connecting with people on a much deeper level. We are trying to communicate at the level of values, of emotion, and really inspire people to do something amazing, make a difference. And the most effective way to really do that is to be authentic, right? To connect with people in an authentic way. So this is not to say that everyone does each of these the same. This is really just more labeling the different steps in the process so that we can share the same language, so that when I'm talking a particular step, you know specifically what I'm talking about. And then also each of these steps has a unique skill set associated with it. Many of them will have some follow through, but there are certain stages, certain steps that have specific skill sets. And so in subsequent videos, I'm going to be diving very deep into these 6 steps, looking at tips, strategies, techniques, principles, a whole variety of these for each of these different steps, so that you can see and try different things, find out what works for you, and ultimately we can learn and grow together. I would also love, as we move on with these future videos, for you to share with me your ideas, your thoughts, your tips, your strategies, your techniques, because I would love to use this channel as a platform to share not just what I know, but what the community knows. So with that said, let's get into the 3 stages and 6 steps. So the stages are just a broader way of looking at the process. So I don't talk to the stages a huge amount when I'm looking practically in terms of training or coaching, but it helps to think of these 3 stages or even phases as the broader process. So the first phase or stage we have is what I call engage. So as the name suggests, this is about engaging with potential supporters, members, donors. It's about getting them to stop and talk to us. And then it's about building a connection, building some rapport, building some trust with them before we continue with the conversation. Really, really vital stage. We can't do anything else if we don't engage people. So engagement, super important, and definitely something we'll be focusing on as we go on. The second stage is what I call as a story. This is the bulk of our pitch. This is where we're introducing people to the organization, the cause, the mission. We're also telling them a story about the work, a project, an initiative, a campaign, something like that. This is the narrative element of our conversation. And then finally, we have the close. The close is where we're actually asking people to join. We're also potentially dealing with some objections in this stage. So these are the 3 stages or phases of the fundraising process. Let's look at the different steps that lie within each of these different stages. So the steps themselves follow, again, the same stages. So we have engage, we have story, and then we have close. Each of these stages has a couple of steps. So there are 6 steps in all in the process. The first stage, engaging, this has Stopping, super crucial, probably arguably the most important of all. We can't do anything if we don't actually get people to stop and talk to us. So stopping is the first step, and then we have rapport building, connecting with someone. Both of these steps are incredibly powerful. And so, yeah, we'll be looking at these in much greater detail as we move on with future videos. The next is the story. So the story I break into two parts. I have the introduction, and then I have what I call the story of impact. The introduction is essentially the intro to the organization, to the purpose, the cause. You could call it the hook in marketing terms. It's the thing that's going to get people interested in finding out more, and it sets the foundation for the story. The story of impact is the narrative around the work, right? This is the example of what the organization is doing. It's an example of what people would be supporting. This is an emotional, engaging, and hopefully powerful story that illustrates the work the organization is up to, and is compelling and inspiring for people to want to make a difference and to join, to sign up with the cause. So these are the two elements. When we're looking at our story of impact, we also have different parts that we'll be looking at. We'll be exploring story development. So how do you put together a powerful story? And then we'll also be looking at story delivery. How do you deliver a story that is impactful and inspiring? And finally, we have our close. Our close has the call to action, the part where we actually ask people to support. Very, very important that we ask effectively. You know, we can have good engagement, a great story, but if we don't ask effectively, it can all fall apart at this point. And then, of course, objection handling, a super important skill to develop. Many people that you engage with will have an objection. Being able to handle these effectively is crucial for effective conversion rates. Now, when it comes to objection handling, I'm actually really excited to share with you a model that I've developed specifically for face-to-face fundraising over the last 10 years. Extremely effective. And yeah, it's more advanced, but I will definitely share that with you. But yeah, like I said before, all these different steps doesn't mean there is one way to do any of these. There are lots of different ways. I have worked with, just such a wide variety of fundraisers, introverts, extroverts, bubbly people, serious people, all of them being really amazing. And so it's really about living out these different steps in your own unique way. And so we'll be exploring a whole host of different approaches and ways of living these out in future videos. So that is the fundraising process. I hope we're on the same page. As I mentioned, we're going to be diving much deeper into each of these steps in future videos. I'm actually really eager to do that, so I wanted to get this video done so that at least we can be talking the same language here. So thank you so much for watching. Until the next video, stay inspired and keep fundraising.